It's time for the Teed Off Podcast.
Okay, it is episode 9 of the Teed Off Podcast. I'm Ben Clyburn, and I'm here with my co-host, Aaron Thomas. Aaron, how's it going today, man?
Good, Ben. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. We've got a lot of great golf stuff going on. We're going to recap on the front nine, Viktor Hovland's just domination of golf the last couple months, really. And then we will jump into the Ryder Cup. The U.S. team has been filled out. I know you and I both have some thoughts on that.
A lot of opinions.
Yep. And then, talk a little bit about, I know the European team is not together yet, but talk about our chances in Rome. And then we're going to jump to the back nine. We have got a huge international event going on in Myrtle Beach right now, the World Am. And I know that you went and visited at the convention center in Myrtle Beach, and we'll go over everything that was going on there, a fall rounds update in Myrtle Beach, our package of the episode, and our accommodations of the episode, and most importantly, what tees us off. You ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
The front nine.
Okay, the front nine. Viktor Hovland. What a show this weekend. But Aaron, what a last couple months he's had.
He's been the best player on tour for the last couple months, probably. I mean, he's been consistent in all the majors this year. The only thing I didn't like was the Tour Championship on Sunday was not as much fun to watch because he had such a commanding lead. Schauffele tried to make it interesting, but it just wasn't happening. So, but it was fun to watch, see somebody play that well.
What are your thoughts on just a sidebar here on the Tour Championship? What are your thoughts on the stacked start?
I'm not a fan of it. The only thing I don't like, I understand why they do it, but the reason I don't like it is I find myself trying to figure out, like when I see the final scores after the third round, well, what did he start at? What is he under right now? Like, he's got the lead, but where did he start at? It's just easier when everybody starts at even, but I understand why they do it. You're rewarding, the best players for their play over the course of the year. So get it. I wish they could find a better way to do it that we could kind of track it as they're playing, but
I agree. I think it's a little hokey. I mean, I understand not having everybody starting at 0 because I could have won all year, and then the guy that snuck in 30th, if he shows up and wins it and wins the Tour Championship and the Fedex Cup and all that stuff. And you also don't want somebody to have the Fedex Cup secured before they even finish.
Which has basically happened before. Yep. That's why they changed it. Yeah. So
anyway, I just wanted your thoughts on that. But, I mean, Hovland, he's... you were talking about prize money before we started recording. What was that number?
$34.5 million this year is what he's earned. I think it was 13, 14, something like that. It was close to $14 million, just his tour earnings throughout the year. And then he got 18, whatever it added up to. It said $34.5 million was his total this year in earnings.
I saw on Instagram that equates to about $5,200 a shot.
That's crazy.
So, and we were talking earlier in the year about, he's ready to break through. He's ready to break through. Well, I say we've got a star, and really the young players in the game, Scotty Scheffler and Viktor Hovland, John Rahm. It's really bright right now where we sit with the game and the game's best, and they're all playing so well.
Yeah, I can remember watching Hovland in the U.S. Amateur, and it doesn't seem like it was that long ago. And just watching him play, and you could tell that you were going to have a future tour star. And it's, of course, taken him a little time. He's always been good, but he put himself at another level this year.
Somebody else that was on another level just didn't win the Tour Championship is Scotty Scheffler.
I felt bad for him. He just had a rough tournament.
He did, but he's had a really great year. I know that it's been marred by some putting issues, but he had the lowest scoring average. He pretty much was in first place for about every stat except putting. And he's still the number one player in the world because of it. He still finished well in almost every tournament. He does have a win this year, and he has the 7th lowest scoring average ever on the PGA Tour. 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st is all Tiger Woods. But that was when he was on a run where it was inhuman.
Which is, I mean, it's still crazy that he's got that low of a scoring average because his putting has been so inconsistent this year.
Just shows how great of a ball striker he has been. I mean, it's just been ridiculous. And probably he's beaten his head against the wall because he could have had a historical year.
Actually, he could have had back-to-back tour championships. He lost it last year to Rory. And then again this year, of course, he came in number one this year. I'm not sure if he was number one last year when he started, but I know if he won the tour championship, he would have got it last year. Yeah,
he was up there. He was definitely, he didn't sneak in.
Yeah, that's a lot of money to leave on the table when you know you're that close to it.
Yeah.
But I think he'll rebound. He seems like he's a pretty upbeat, positive guy. So I think he just knows he's just got to fix his putting woes and he'll be okay.
You can't be upset with the year he had because it could have been, an all-time year. Mm-hmm. But he still had a great year, and heck, he's the number one player in the world. So not too much to complain about.
And with all the changes this year with the elevated events, I mean, even finishing in some of those places where he did, top 5, top 10, whatever, you were making more money in those positions than you've ever made probably winning before, So it's not a bad year.
Not at all. And he is definitely going to be a major force in the Ryder Cup in Rome coming up this month. It's September.
He was a rookie last time, and he played very well. So because he took down Rahm on the last day, wasn't it? Was that him?
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like that was him that took down Rahm on the last day. But we'll be talking more Ryder Cup here shortly.
Let's talk about it now because I'm pulling up the captain's picks here. The European team needs to wait for the European Masters to finish this weekend. Right now, they have 4 qualifiers. 2 more will come on, and then they'll have their captain's picks on Monday. We'll get to Team Europe in a second. Let's talk about the USA team that's been just now filled out, and I just want to tell you the captain's picks, which I'm sure you know: Sam Burns, Ricky Fowler, Brooks Koepka, Colin Morikawa, Jordan Spieth, and Justin Thomas. Do any of those jump out to you? Do you think there's any snubs? What are your thoughts on the captain's picks?
I think the only one that everybody questioned was probably Justin Thomas. I, however, don't question it because Ryder Cup is a team. It's a team sport, basically, or a team game, whatever you want to call it. He's a locker room guy, you could say. So he's gonna play well with the other guys. He gets along with them. He's had a little bad stretch of golf, but this might be what turns it around for him. He's always done well in the Ryder Cup, so I think that's really why the pick was there. It's more of a team chemistry pick than it is, hey, you're not playing too good right now, we don't want to rely on you. Pair him up early with the right. Well, we know it's going to be Jordan Spieth, and he gets a couple wins under his belt, gets confidence going again, and off you go. So I'm okay with it.
I think the whole, I don't like the Justin Thomas pick. I'm just going to say it. I understand that the pairing of Jordan and Justin is historically good. Spieth hasn't played that great this year either. I would have been fine seeing Keegan Bradley and Cameron Young replacing both of them.
Okay.
Because I don't think the criticism would have been that much if you'd have left them both off the roster. I think you're going to have more criticism if it goes poorly with both of them on the roster, because I don't think Spieth's in a position to carry Justin, and I don't think Justin's going to play that well. I think he's struggling. He's at definitely a low point in his career. early career, definitely entering the prime of his career, and he's going to get out of it. But he's in it right now. He is in a rough spot, and I don't like those picks. I think Keegan played well enough to get back on the team, and I think Cameron Young is somebody that could go in there fearless with no expectations of himself. I think he plays that way and play well.
Well, I know Keegan was disappointed he didn't make it, but, as he said, he's going to obviously be rooting for Team USA. But I'm definitely different than you on that, because I think Spieth and Thomas they're kind of the, God, you hate to even say they're not the old guys, but they are kind of the standard for the team. They're going to be the locker room guys. So I think you got to have them. But something interesting I read was actually right after the captain's picks. It was on Barstool Sports, and they said that if you think that the Ryder Cup isn't considered a boys' club, then you completely misunderstood it, because it really is about the guys that all know each other, how they play together. It's not, hey, just because so-and-so is playing better, he didn't qualify automatically, doesn't mean we're going to put him in. And a lot of it has to do with the captains and the vice captains, guys, especially the vice captains, guys that they've had, on previous teams, that they know that, what they can do. So I think that's what a lot of it comes down to. But I thought that statement was pretty accurate by them.
I think team chemistry is huge. I think Tom Watson, when he was the captain in Europe, didn't use the team well like an Azinger or Davis Love have done. But to me, and let's put in a college football playoff aspect, Alabama loses a game that they shouldn't have, and they got left out of the playoff in recent years. And their big, the big argument on Sports Center and stuff like that was, it's Alabama. They gotta, they shouldn't have been in, because it was the body of work for the year. And to me, the best players at the time are going to give you the best chance to win. So Jordan and Justin could come and cheer him on, but Keegan Bradley and Cameron Young, I think, have played better this year, and they're playing better than both of them now. So that's my argument. I think Keegan is a good team guy. Not sure about Cameron Young and chemistry and stuff like that. And maybe you're right. Maybe the chemistry is going to raise everyone's level, and if so, I'll applaud them and I'll tip my cap to you. But we will see. We will have to see about those two guys. Are you shocked that Brooks Koepka got picked on this team?
No, not at all. I'm
not either.
Zach Johnson had kind of hinted to it several weeks ago, that while he said he hadn't watched any live golf, he had seen enough of Koepka in the majors this year to know where he stood. And so I figured that would be a pretty easy pick for him. And I think Brooks is pretty good with the guys on tour, even after leaving for live. He never bashed the PGA Tour or said anything negative. He just did what he thought was best for him, and went to live. So I don't think there's any animosity with any of those guys, and I think he played a lot of practice rounds with the guys on tour this year. So I think they all get along good. That's why I think it was kind of a no-brainer.
I agree. He's played extremely well this year. The few events that he's been able to play with everybody, which are majors, he's played well, and he's won one. So come on, he's on the team. Yeah. And I'm not surprised. I've seen some articles trying to make it news. It's not news.
No, especially after the merger. I think that kind of made it a little easier too. If that weren't where it's at right now, then I could see him getting left off. But now that they're gonna kind of all be merging together, it's really a non-issue. So
the Team Europe, like I said, they only have 4 automatic qualifiers right now. They'll have 2 more after this weekend. But it's Tyrrell Hatton, Viktor Hovland, Roy McIlroy, John Rahm. Who's 5th and 6th right now?
Got Tommy Fleetwood and Matt Fitzpatrick, at least according to the rankings.
That's a pretty solid team.
Pretty good team.
And then you've got, like Shane Lowry and Sepp Straka and Robbie McIntyre.
Yeah, Justin Rose is up there also. There's quite a few names. Some that I'm not too familiar with, but they've got a pretty good looking team. So I'll be curious to see who's pulled in as the captain's picks.
How do you like our chances in Rome? We have not won on European soil since '93.
I like them. I think this year it's going to come down to the rookies because there's quite a few first-timers. Wyndham Clark, Brian Harmon, Max Homa. I think they're the 3 rookies that are on this year's team. So I think it's going to come down to them and how they handle their matches. I think the rest of them pretty seasoned. Oh, Sam Burns, another one, 4. So we got four first-timers this year.
I think Sam and Brian Harmon and Max Homa have already proven that they respond well to crowds. I'm just thinking the European crowds, it's going to be kind of soccer style. Yeah. I don't know about Wyndham Clark, how he's going to respond to a rowdy, spirited crowd. Brian Harmon, he had to have his ears plugged all weekend at the Open. I mean, people were begging him to screw up to make it interesting. And then Max Homa, he'll go after people on Twitter. I mean, he loves the drama.
Yeah, he'll be fun to watch.
And Sam Burns is a fiery guy. So, Wyndham Clark would be the biggest question mark for me out of the rookies to see, what he does. But he performed well after his championship at LA Country Club.
Yeah, he played very consistent. Yeah, that's for sure. So, but I think they're going to need to play well. If in fact what we discussed about JT and Spieth becomes an issue during the weekend, they're going to need the rookies to step up.
Sunday is going to be interesting, the singles matches.
Yeah, which we're going to have to be up very early to watch.
I know. How early?
I think I looked it up. It's like, is it 5 a.m.?
Oh.
Something like that, I think, is when it'll be starting. So, or at least TV coverage will be starting at like 5 a.m.
Well, I'll be up and active for it. But
I'm one of those people, though. I get up when the Open's on, and I mean, there's a big. I get up and watch it, and it doesn't bother me.
Man, nothing beats a West Coast major, because in the United States, because then coverage started mid-afternoon, then you get to go home and watch it all night.
Primetime golf, man. I love it. Especially I like the Friday night's good, but the Saturday night is the one I really like because I think this year coverage ran until like 10 o'clock at night. Yeah. And there's, it was the perfect time of the year because there wasn't much else sports-wise on anyway. So. And
then I watch live on the Golf Channel after until I've noticed that there's talking over again. I'm like, oh, it's rebooted.
They've restarted, yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Only a few weeks away. We will chat again once the European team is finalized and see if there's any storylines there. But a lot going on in the world of golf, and I love international events. I've said that before on plenty of episodes, and here we are with the Ryder Cup. Nothing more important to me than to win a Ryder Cup and represent your country. So I'm super excited for it.
Ryder Cup, probably one of my favorite events in sports. I really enjoy it. It is on my bucket list. I want to go to one. I've have some friends that have gone and said it is hands down the best sporting event they've ever attended. And I can say my friends that did this have been to a Super Bowl. Wow. So that's a pretty big statement to make if you've been to a Super Bowl and you thought the Ryder Cup was the greatest sporting event you've ever seen.
Well, that says a lot, and maybe one day Teed Off will have a hospitality tent at a Ryder Cup. That would be fun.
We can only hope.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up the world of golf in the front nine. Let's jump over to the back nine and talk some Myrtle Beach golf.
Okay.
The back nine.
Well, Aaron, we had a little bit of a scare with a tropical storm during the week, but that did not slow down one of the biggest amateur events in the entire world of golf, which happens in Myrtle Beach every year. The World Am is going on this week, and you had the pleasure of going to the Myrtle Beach Convention Center and checking it out this year. How was the turnout? How's it look, and what was up?
Oh, it was great. The Play Golf Myrtle Beach World Amateur, which started play on Monday. They actually put their numbers out. They had 3,246 participants this year, which takes place all over the Grand Strand, multiple courses. It's really a lot. It's impressive to see how they put it all together. But yeah, everything took off great. I went Monday evening. They have the world's largest 19th hole at the Myrtle Beach Convention Center. Food, drinks, entertainment, even celebrities. There's something going on all night. There's something going on everywhere in there. It's a great time though. You can go in, get a drink, walk around. You can eat while you walk around. They've got vendors.
Great turnout, it looked like.
It was
everybody
packed.
was there.
Yeah.
Barstool people were there. Salty Golfer was there. Random Golf Club was there.
Mm-hmm.
It just looked amazing.
It was packed, and from what I understand, I didn't go the other nights, but I know some people that did. Every night was packed. Even shockingly, Wednesday, which they were able to get there. They never missed a day of play. We got lucky with the timing of the storm. They were able to get in Wednesday morning, and then I think they pushed their start time back a little bit on Thursday just to let the storm move out. But they are finishing up the finals, on Friday. So it was amazing they were able to get them all in. But I did hear Wednesday evening was a huge turnout, which I had to believe.
What, in the convention center?
Yeah, because it was the night of the storm, and there's really not much else to do. So
great that they still had it.
Yeah, they kept it open, and they said it was a great turnout. So yeah, I thought it was great that they managed to get everything in on time and finished up. And of course, they're for the Friday finals, which I think there's like 60 flights that they have for all of those players.
That's got to be the most 60 ever. I remember when it was a lot less than that.
There were, it ranges too, because I took a look at the flights online, and I think it's over 60. But they have the winner from each flight gets to participate in the final round to crown the winner. But it's pretty impressive. It was a lot of fun going to the 19th hole though. We had a good time, checked out some equipment and some different things, and obviously had some drinks, but really enjoyed it.
A big tip to the cap of the convention center and everyone holding the event, but even bigger to the golf courses to keep play going even through a storm. There were some places in Myrtle Beach, I looked at the weather report after, they got between 5 and 10 inches of rain.
Yeah.
And to not cancel play or delay play that much and keep it going, that's just big ups to the grounds crew. And everybody just still managed to have a great time and have a great playable conditions.
Well, I will say on top of that, with with the weather that we got, the area golf course, of course, anytime we get a storm, that magnitude, the courses do a tremendous job with cleanup, because a lot of times when it happens, it is during golf season here, and we've got a lot of people, and they usually have the courses reopened pretty quick. And my understanding was with this most recent one that it was just debris. I don't think a lot of them had to deal with any flooding, but I do believe it was just debris that was getting cleaned up and things like that. So yeah, it is impressive that the amount of work those courses put in whenever we get weather like that to keep the golfers playing.
Yeah, it is storm season, unfortunately, but hopefully this was the only scare we had, because
not for the next 9 days. We got a nice lineup of weather.
Well, that's great, and a little taste of hopefully what October weather's going to be, which is great fall golf season. How did the fall rounds look? for all these great Myrtle Beach courses?
We're still taking on fall rounds. They are tight if you're looking, but there are tee times out there that can be found. You just have to have the right people to find them for you, which would be mbgolf.com. But there are some tee times out there, and we're still getting phone calls. But yeah, they continue to book. Courses look good, even with the storm that we've had. Everybody I've talked to said that courses are in peak condition. We had some pretty high heat this summer that I thought would maybe take a toll on the courses, but everybody I've spoke to said courses are in great shape. Greens are good, which is a plus. So I think going into fall, we're going to see a real good condition from the golf course side.
Yeah, it sounds like playability is maximized heading into the fall season, which is great and nobody wants a storm and nobody wants 10 inches of rain. But we haven't had rain in about a month of any significance. So the courses did need some moisture. They got a little too much too fast, but it's drained well, and it's just only going to help the courses as we head into the fall. So I'm not surprised that the playability is that high, and I can see why the tee sheets are filling up. Our accommodations are filling up as well.
Yes.
So you need to go to mbgolf.com and search tee times and accommodations quickly, because they are running out for fall.
Yeah, if you're looking, September, October, like I said, there are some out there. We're glad to help you find them and get you set up. As we start getting into November, you might it does loosen up a little bit, but November is still busy also.
Aaron, what is the package of the episode that people need to be looking for when they're planning their fall or spring trip to Myrtle Beach?
Well, one we actually have booked a lot of for this fall, and it is a great package, is our Barefoot 4-round special. You play 4 rounds on each of the Barefoot courses. You get 25% off each round, so it equates to pretty much a 4th round free, you could say. It's been one of the most popular. We do a lot of bookings on it early, as they do run specials, fall and spring. If you book by a certain date, that 25% off actually goes up to as high as, I believe, 30 and 35%. So you get some additional savings when you book early. Usually for the fall, you've got to book by June 30th, I believe. They tend to run those every year. And then they do the same for the spring also. If you book by January 31st, I think it is, you're able to get those extra savings for the early bookings. But the 25% runs all the time. It's a great way to play 4 great courses, probably 4 of the premier courses here in the area. So that's definitely the way to go.
It's a great package. Definitely 4 of the most sought after courses down here. If you had to choose one, just a little quick question. If you had to choose one Barefoot course to play, I know it's tough. Which one would it be?
I actually go with the Norman.
Okay.
I love the Norman course there. All 4 are great, and if you talk to people, it's funny because everybody has their favorite one, and a lot of people don't necessarily go with the Norman. I'm probably on the rare that goes with it, but I think it just offers some great views. I mean, it's on the Intercoastal Waterway, and several of the holes run right along it. I just like the layout.
It's always a layout thing with Barefoot because they're always in great shape.
Yeah.
So that's why it's always, an interesting question I like to ask, because some other, if you ask for other courses, a lot of reasons are, well, it's always in the best shape. Well, the Barefoot courses are always in great shape. So it's really a layout thing, and you have different designers. You have Greg Norman, Davis Love, Tom Fazio, and Pete Dye.
Mm-hmm. 4 completely different layouts.
Yep.
None of them look the same.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
And that's why I picked Fazio.
Okay.
That's my favorite layout. You and I have played them all.
Yeah.
I think the Dye course is a little tough.
It is. It's Pete Dye, though.
Yep, it is. It's typical Pete Dye course.
Yeah.
I mean, Prestwick's one of my favorite courses down here, and it's one of the hardest. But it's just a little tough for me. The Love course is probably the most playable. I think probably the people's favorite. And the Norman and the Fazio, to me, are the most distinct from the others. The designs are very different. and I just like the playability and layout of the Fazio.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. They're all four great, but I really like, especially if you're playing on a nice spring day or even a summer day. You're up right there along the waterway. It's just nice, especially if you get some boat action coming by and stuff like that. But I just like the Norman course, so that's me.
Can't go wrong with all four of them. Can't go wrong with the barefoot special package. So go to mbgolf.com. Check it out. They do have savings all year. If you want some really big spring savings, now's the time to book the barefoot special.
Yeah, the spring special is running. And if you're not able to play all 4 rounds, they've got 2-round specials. There's certainly anything we can do. We can accommodate you if you can't play all 4 rounds. But playing all 4 gets you by far the best rate.
MB Golf's got you covered on where to play, where to stay. Our featured accommodation of the episode, we've got some luxury beach homes.
Yes.
A small collection of some of the best beach homes on the beach. Located in North Myrtle Beach, we've got oceanfront and ocean view houses that sleep up to 24 people, Aaron, and they come with great amenities. Large pools, hot tubs, guest houses, fully equipped kitchens, laundry facilities. I mean, it would be a great place for medium or large groups for your next package in Myrtle Beach.
It is, and it's a lot of groups will get them because they like the simple fact that they all stay together in the same building basically, or same house, I guess you could say, as opposed to doing the condos where they're in separate rooms and things like that. So it's a big request with our groups, to stay in those homes, and of course you do have to book them, in advance because they will book up fairly quick. So
it's a short list that we have, and they are always booked, but there is some availability for the springtime for those. So feel free to go to mbgolf.com, call one of our specialists. Aaron and his team are ready to help you, and if you need a home, we've got those too. All right, well, let's move to the last but certainly not least part of the episode. Teed off. Aaron, do you have something that tees you off about golf, or a story that you could share?
I do, and this happened to me recently, and it's funny I use this word, but impatience is something that I think tees me off on the golf course, especially when you have somebody that feels as though the pace of play that day on the golf course is not up to par. Recently happened. It didn't happen necessarily to me, but it was spoken to groups in front of me and through me regarding the pace of play, and I had something to say on that. But yeah, I would say other people's impatience is something that tease me off on the golf course.
Are you talking about a ranger talking to you, or playing people?
No, somebody called the pro shop to have the ranger come out because he felt the pace of play was bad.
Man, I've never even heard that. And you...
The ranger actually told us that, and I actually
don't
pointed
play
it out.
slow.
No, anybody I plays with plays fast. It was literally the start of a morning. I was doing an outing with some friends, and so there were 12 of us, and we all got put out. Like, they just sent us to the first tee at the same time. So they had to wait on the group to go, and so on and so forth. Well, a few people hit breakfast balls, and as the other group started to come up behind us, somebody made a comment about breakfast balls, and we were probably the wrong group to make that comment to. And then that's, I think, what set it off, and complained about the pace. But the ranger kind of laughed because I was like, I don't think the group in front of us is more than a half hole ahead. And I said, from what I can see, everybody else is too. And he's like, I'm really just out here to appease somebody. And I said, would that be the group behind us? And he said, yeah. So needless to say, words were said.
Oh, boy. Well, yeah, I mean, just we talk about pace of play all the time. I think we're both pretty good stewards of good pace, because slow play is as bad as impatience. But, man, relax.
Needless to say, for the speedy players that we usually are, we kind of slowed up a little bit intentionally that day. So
maybe some extra practice swings.
Yeah, we did. We, the cart when the beverage cart came around, made sure we took a little extra time getting drinks. Anything we could do just to twist the knife a little bit. So it was just annoying because nobody ever wants to hear anything from the ranger. And it's like, and then once you're told why, it's like, come on, we had just finished the first hole.
Yeah.
That's
when you got the news?
Yeah, we were on the second hole.
Jeez Louise.
So
I had this isn't my teed off, but I played in Charleston one time, and I was playing with 3 buddies, and we had a great time. We were on the 16th hole, and there was like hardly anybody out there. Ranger drives up to us and says that we need to hurry up. And we looked around and we're like, for what? I mean, we were playing, a 4-hour pace, and so we need to hurry up. So we hurried up and we got to the 18th hole and had to wait to tee off. And we were just dumbfounded. We're like, why did we have to hurry up? I mean, nobody called because nobody was behind us, really. Yeah. And we weren't the last group out or something like that. It was just really strange. We weren't even mad. We were just kind of shocked. Maybe the ranger was jealous because we were having a good time and he was at work. I don't know. But that story kind of reminds me of that, except I don't think anybody complained about us. And it certainly wasn't after playing the first hole.
No, and I think that's what set it off. And the funny thing is, I looked at my watch when we finished, and now the course was very busy that morning. It was actually a nice morning, so I mean it was busy, but the pace was in under 4.5, which is very respectable for what was a busy day. I mean, because there were times I looked around, and you got to wait a few minutes here and there, and I would look around and see what was going on in the course, and there was somebody on every hole, so it was a packed morning for golf. But I mean, if you gotta get home to the wife for lunch, maybe you shouldn't book that 8 a.m. tee time. Yeah. Because you're probably not going to make it on a Sunday. So
yeah, I think the moral of that story is relax.
Yeah.
I mean, good grief. My teed off, I'm not a heavy gambler on the course. Sometimes I'll play for a couple bucks, but even just casual play, to me, the gimmies are getting a little out of control. The inside the leather, it's just growing and growing and growing
people
and
keep
growing.
Getting these longer grips.
Yeah. I mean, good Lord. I got, even if you're playing casually, if you're picking up 6-footers, I don't want to hear about how well you're playing. Yeah. I just don't. I mean, especially because I usually struggle mightily. So, and I'm not picking up medium length putts.
The 3-footer is probably one of the toughest putts in golf, especially if it's for something.
Yeah, well, knee knockers for sure, but when they're getting into the 5 and 6 foot range, it's tough when you're playing casually because you're not playing for anything. And that's fine. You can do whatever you want to do. But when we're adding up the score at the end, and I'm my 93 with 4 million 3-putts, and somebody else has shot an 81. And I barely saw their putter touch the green, I've got a little just interior snarling going on. And so that's what teased me off. I don't have a recent story about it.
That's a fair one because I'm not big on gimmies either. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll take them if they're right, but it's a good one because it reminds me. This is I'm probably aging myself because this is an older commercial, and I think it was Mick Ultra. Where the guy's going around the course playing and pick it up, it's good, and he comes in and goes course record, and that's exactly what that reminds me of. It's every time I see somebody getting like a 5-foot gimme, I'm like course record.
I've got a friend whose grandfather, who he's passed away now, but he went and played at Pebble Beach years ago, and got a tee time, and the people at the front desk weren't especially kind to him, and even in, I believe it was in the early 80s, still a pretty sought after tee time, and quite expensive. And they didn't pair him up with anybody or anything, and they were a little rude to him. And on the way out, he's like, "And what's the course record here?" And they told him what it was. He said, "Not anymore." He walked out. Before he got to the first tee, they had someone to play with him. He was about to go out there and light it up. Nobody was going to witness it. It was great.
That's great. Oh, shoot.
But anyway, those are good teed offs. Relax and maybe have a little more integrity around the greens.
Yeah, like I said, I'm probably not one to talk because my patience is not the greatest at times, but I think on a Sunday morning on the golf course is a time you can find a little patience.
Nobody is trying to get their tour card. So let's have some fun.
No.
And respect the course. I don't want to see anybody rolling around on the ground or taking 6 breakfast balls and dropping balls in the fairway and stuff like that. But let's have some fun and respect the game at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that wraps up this episode of Teed Off. Remember to go to mbgolf.com to book that barefoot package and ask about all of our luxury accommodations, condos, and homes. I wish everyone luck at the finals for the World Am.
Yep.
And we will touch base soon about the European Ryder Cup team and really the tail of the tape between the USA and Europe.
A little Ryder Cup preview.
All right, guys. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Teed Off. Visit mbgolf.com and follow us on Instagram at Teed Off Podcast for the latest episodes and news.